Hey guys, Jess here. Welcome to another video. As you can see from the title down below, today I'm going to be talking about my parents' reactions to me going vegan. So the reason for me making this video is that in a lot of other videos that I've seen, a lot of parents have been really supportive towards their kids going vegan, and well, mine weren't at all. A backstory, I suppose. My family are South African, and a lot of South African culture focuses around socializing around food, and that food being very heavy in animal products. Whilst I didn't grow up as a meathead, I did definitely grow up with the belief that in order to be healthy, I needed to eat, my meat for my protein and dairy for calcium, and that a meal wasn't really a meal unless there was a hunk of meat on the plate. So that's kind of how I grew up, kind of how my parents' beliefs are in regard to food and health. As for why I went vegan, that is already in a previous video of mine. If you haven't already seen it, I will put it somewhere here that you can click on, so you can hear a little bit more about my reasons why I went vegan. But as you'll know, I went vegan when I was studying abroad in Norway. So I told my parents over Facebook that I was going vegan. So basically, I didn't tell my parents that I was going vegan. I didn't use the word vegan. I was like, Mum, I have something to tell you. And she was like, what? And I was like, I'm not going to be eating meat anymore. At this point, I already wasn't consuming dairy products a lot because when I was 19, I had been told by my doctor that I was lactose intolerant and that I should avoid dairy, basically. I just told them that I wasn't going to be eating meat, and my mum's reaction was kind of passive-aggressive. She was like, oh, okay, well, it's your body, you can do whatever you want to do with your body. I can't tell you what to do, even if it is a bad idea. What do I say now? And then she told me that she needed to go to bed, although it was 7:30. So it didn't go down very well at all. A couple of days right after it, I tried to bring up veganism again, but I didn't get very far with it because every time I tried to bring it up, they shut it down. They would say they needed to go cook, or they needed to do ironing, or they needed to talk to my brother on the phone, or they needed to talk to my other brother on Skype. So they just kind of brushed my madness under the carpet, hoping that I would never bring it up again. Until a few days later, when we went on Skype. And at this point there were already some kind of tensions, although I didn't really see it as a reason to have tensions, but anyway, there were tensions. So I told myself that I wasn't going to bring up veganism at all, I just wanted to talk to them. As soon as I got on Skype, I kind of was bombarded with questions about why I was going to do this to them, why I was going to go vegan. They basically told me from the start that they didn't think it was a good idea for me. They told me that I was not going to have enough protein, that I was already weak from not having calcium, that I was going to lose a lot of weight, that it wasn't healthy. I think my mum even used the words that I'm going to die. It was very dramatic, and I reacted in the worst way I think that I could have. My reaction to their criticisms of veganism wasn't good, and I wouldn't suggest you do it either. I kind of went on a little bit of a ranting rampage with them, telling them, I'm 20, I can do what I want, I'm not living at home. If I don't want to put this kind of food in my body, then I don't need to, and they can't force me. And they didn't understand why I thought it was really gross. But a lot more aggressive than that. I wasn't the best in trying to put my point across. And that obviously was a pretty terrible first conversation to have when they were, I suppose, actively trying to talk about veganism, and I feel I kind of mucked it up when I could have done a much better job at trying to describe why I wanted to go vegan. fast forward about 2 months and it was Christmas holidays. So I went home to visit my parents and they resisted my veganism further. I think at this point they were thinking that me going vegan was kind of some fad diet and that I was going to go off it soon. When I ate dinner at home, that is when I started getting problems because my parents would put a piece of meat on my plate and, you know, I wasn't very impressed, as you can imagine. So then I decided that I should probably go about telling them about my reasons for going vegan in the right way. So I know that my mum, for example, she gets swayed by facts that are given to her through documentaries. So literally every evening we would sit right here on my bed and we would watch Cowspiracy, Forks Over Knives, GMO, OMG, Earthlings, although I think we watched maybe like 5 minutes worth of Earthlings because my mum couldn't deal with it. But yeah, I showed her a bunch of these documentaries and, you know, her reaction did change pretty much like that. She said that she was going to cut down on her meat consumption, which she did. She started using my vegan butters and milk, fabulous. She was definitely like cutting back on these things, which is the best that I could hope for, because I know that my parents will never go vegan and I know that my parents will never go vegetarian, but if they could just like cut back on what they were doing, I thought that was like my goal with them. So I was like, yes, mum is on side. Next challenge, my father, which has never gone well. So with my father, I used the 3 main approaches, you know, animal ethics, the environment, and health. So with animal ethics, I was like, right, my dad's Buddhist, he's gonna have some kind of like enlightenment and he's gonna realize how terrible it is for the animals. So then I thought, right, I'm gonna get him with the environmental impacts of like animal agriculture, because my dad, you know, he was a scientist, he's a very logical man. So I told him about the fact of like, you know, CO2 emissions and how much water is used, you know, daily by a vegan, a vegetarian and a meat eater. And he got very angry at the facts and he would like storm out of a room and he would tell me that what I was saying was like stupid and he wouldn't talk to me for like a couple of hours, and it was all very dramatic. And then I thought, well, I have one final chance to try and persuade him. So I thought, health has to work, you know. Both of my parents have high blood pressure, both of my parents have high cholesterol. So then I was like, there have been certain studies that have linked heart disease to eating meat, and you know, the eggs that you eat, it's cholesterol. I was going on about cancer, you know, the link between eating meat and cancer. If the other reasons don't work, then surely the inherent human selfishness is going to work and you're not going to want to die in the next couple of years. He had 2 main arguments against the whole health argument. The first one was that he could also cherry pick studies, and then the second argument he had was that he's going to die anyway, so he might as well live his life enjoying his food whilst he's on this planet. You know, I think there comes a point when if a person truly just doesn't care, then there isn't anything that you're going to be able to do to change their mindset. So now I had a problem because my dad was being very resistant and my mum was understanding veganism. She ultimately decided that it would be too difficult for her to live a more vegan/vegetarian lifestyle whilst my dad was being very stubborn and he didn't want to change his ways. So essentially I have lost both of my parents to their meat eating ways. Luckily for me, my parents have gotten more supportive with my veganism. Like I said, I think originally they thought that me going vegan was a fad diet kind of thing, so they thought that I was going to go off it. But you know, a few months later when I was still eating this way, they realised that it was something that I was going to stick with for the foreseeable future. And probably I'd say after about 7-8 months maybe, they started buying me more vegan things. Vegan fake meats or ready meals or like snacks and treats, like junk food, vegan junk food. So if they went out and the cafe they were at sold like a vegan wrap or pastries or something, they would bring stuff back for me. And yeah, I mean, it took a while, it took a long time for them to get like that. So they're definitely more open about talking about veganism and encouraging veganism also, even if they don't themselves want to do it. So I mean, that's pretty cool. They've had a couple of vegan meals that I've cooked for them since me going vegan. They've had a couple of vegetarian meals, but it's still better than them eating meat, I suppose. And a few months ago my parents went on holiday to Singapore, and they went to the Loving Hut, which is a vegan restaurant. So that's my experience with me telling my parents that I was going vegan, their unhappiness at me going vegan, them pushing against me going vegan, them trying to force animal products on me. But eventually, when they realised that going vegan was something that I was serious about, they did become supportive of me. But yeah, so my advice would be, if you want to tell your family that you're going vegan, watch documentaries. If the documentaries have little snippets of like researchers and stuff like that, write them down, and then when you finish watching the documentaries, look up these studies, look at what they have to say. You know, if you particularly are interested, if you're particularly interested in raw veganism, for example, then I would say find YouTubers that you like who are raw vegan. So maybe Christina or Ravana. Show their videos to your family. If you like vegans who just kind of eat whatever they want to eat in the moment, look up Henya's channel. You can show them even like more of the bodybuilder types of vegans, so like Brian Turner, and show them, you know, just because you're going vegan doesn't mean you're going to become like scrawny and ill and deficient in things. Try and figure out what concerns your family might have, and then do your research in those areas, so that when your family like inevitably try to argue with you about these things, then you can have a response. But please don't do what I did. Don't be aggressive. You want them to take you seriously. They want you, or they want to see that you've made a decision logically, reasonably, rather than emotionally. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what you think. If you have any videos about your parents' reactions to you going vegan, link them down below. Share your experiences, write it down below. I'll read it. I love reading and hearing about people's experiences, so definitely do that. And until next time guys, hope you have a beautiful day. Bye.